So step 4 is to add text and, or a logo if that applies to you as well, right? So if you already have your personal brand, then that's great. You can see I've drug mine over a little bit. It's a little bit more to the middle. I'm going to add the text up here a little bit. I think it'll kind of look a little bit better. Now, if you don't have this, then just add a logo or another picture and text originally. And you'll also want to focus a little bit more on the background image. Now, if you do have yourself and you are putting yourself and text in the image, then obviously you just want a theme in your background image, because the main theme is going to be your personal brand, what the topic is, and then just, an attention grabbing text overlay. Okay. So you want to add text and position it accordingly, and that's important, okay? Then you want to bring that text to life and, to the forefront, okay? Now, I recommend adding a rectangle background. I'll show you how to actually do that here in a second, so that the text is clear to see, and then bringing it to life. Now, you don't need to add a rectangle background. You can just add the same, like let's hypothetically say, I'll show you what to do. So let's go over the text. And I said, for example, this is going to be like a travel photography thumbnail. So let's just say like travel photography, and then I'm gonna hit this thing so I can move it around and adjust it, and we'll just make it like a little bit bigger right here. Let's make it a little bigger, and I'll drag my photo over slightly. And obviously you can just click things and move them around accordingly. Just make sure that you have this right here, the drag tool and the move tool selected. So I'm gonna move it like right here, and I'll make this a little bit lower, okay? So travel photography. Now I'm going to select this. I'm going to copy it by clicking Control C. You can also right click and copy as well if you want to do that way. And then I'm going to paste it by clicking Control V. So Control C, Control C, Control V, and then it's going to paste that because I want the same formatting, and I'm going to say made simple, okay? So I'm just adding text here. That's pretty self-explanatory. You can obviously hit the text over here and change the font of the text if you want to go that way. And the way that you can do that is basically over here with your characters, change the font, change the weight, change the size, change the color. Pretty commonsensical right here. That's how you're going to adjust that. Now I'm going to drag this right here. I'm going to add 2 different boxes around these because, like I said, I want to add boxes in the background so that it makes it really, really easy to see. Now, if you don't want to do that, you can simply right click on the text, and same thing as before, right? You can go to the blending options and you can add like a drop shadow or an outer glow or something like that. Sometimes that looks good on certain backgrounds. I don't always do that. Now, obviously, it's going to depend on the color of the outer glow that you choose. So if you click outer glow, like I said, you can adjust the noise and make it bigger. Like I said, once you click on it, you can also adjust like the size and the spread of that. So I'm going to undo that and undo that because I don't want to move that. But if you wanted to change the color here, then you could go to like red, right? Boom, now it's red. If you want to make it yellow, if you want to make it red, if you want to make it light blue, you get the picture, right? I don't think that looks very, very good, so I don't do that on most things. I don't outer glow my text, and I don't add drop shadow on my text, although you can add drop shadow and outer glow if you want to go that route and you don't want to add the boxes. So I'm going to cancel this. What I actually like to do a lot of times is I'll move this down slightly, is I like to add a box, and a background rectangle to the text so it's clear to see and it brings it to life, okay? Now, I also recommend keeping the text in your thumbnails super minimal, okay? You don't want to have like a long sentence or a paragraph. I see this all the time, and I've made this mistake countless times as well, right? I've found that if you keep the thumbnail text super minimal, maybe 3 to 7 words max, okay? Preferably on the lower side of that towards 3 or 4, right? You can see there's literally 4 words here on this one. Okay, you want the text to be super easy to read and get right to the point, because remember, people are scanning images quickly, especially thumbnails. So sometimes I'll also add a logo too if that's relevant, especially in course thumbnails specifically. I also recommend that you add a shadow effect to this too if you do add it. And sometimes it looks good if you also add, color light effects to it as well, like I showed you previously. But I don't always do that on the logo or the text. What I like to do is I'll make a box. So I'm going to go up to the rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to hit that, and I'm just going to draw a simple rectangle around the box. Now, sometimes I'll draw a big rectangle, and sometimes I'll draw like a super close rectangle. I've played around with both of them, and it really kind of just depends on the way that the thumbnail looks. Sometimes I'll get like, in a kind of a groove of doing a big one. Sometimes I'll get kind of in a groove of doing a small one. This is probably a little too close, so I'm going to do another one just a little bit bigger right here. And we're going to make that box. Okay, now that we've drawn the rectangle around it, we want to cut that out and turn the background black or white. depending on, what color you have the text. I like going with the white text. You don't have to do that, although I think it makes it look really good. So I'm going to right click on that in between that rectangle, and I'm going to click new layer to make this a new layer. You can name the new layer rectangle 1, 2, whatever you want. I'm just going to keep it as layer 2. I'm going to click OK. Then I'm also going to right click again, and I'm going to fill it this time with a black coloring. Okay, now you can add a color. You can also turn it white or 50% gray. I like to keep it black, darkened, and 100% opacity, so that it turns it black. Okay, but now I need to come over on the timeline here, and I need to adjust that. Okay, so I'm going to move the layers up above this. So I need the travel photography and made simple above that. And now you see that the text comes in front of that. So I want to click off of this now, and I'm going to draw another one really fast right around made simple. And the same thing, right click, new layer, okay, right click, right click, fill, add it black, and then same thing. Now I'm going to click off of it, and now I'm going to go back to the move tool so I can adjust things. Now you might be saying that doesn't look that great, but what I like to do obviously is I'm going to click on those layers right here, and I'm going to go layer 3, which is the black, and layer 2, which is the black rectangle, and I'm going to go to the blending adjustments. And I'm not going to add the outer glow or the drop shadow to the text made simple or travel photography. I'm going to add it to the background, rectangle, because I think that makes it look a lot better. So I'm going to add outer glow, and I'm going to add drop shadow, and I think that that's going to look great. Okay. So you can also play around with the color too. Like if I go back in and I right click and I select that again and go to blending options, and I go to the outer glow and I click on that, just like I showed you before, you can obviously adjust the color, right? So you might think like, okay, let's try pink. That looks okay, but it looks a little strange. You can also go like light blue a little bit. That kind of looks pretty good. I kind of like that actually. And then same thing with this one. I'm gonna go to the right here, layer 2, blending adjustments. And now it should have that same thing formatted. So I'm gonna click outer glow and drop shadow, and bam, hit OK. And now we have some popping text on it with a background that's clearly in front of the image. Same thing with me with the personal brand. You can obviously select these if you want to select everything and then drag them around as you want. Just make sure that you drag select. You don't just click one, or it'll just drag that actual thing. So I'm going to click out of this. I'm going to undo that so it looks like that. And we'll move on to the final step in the process.